Hello and welcome back to Break Panel Sports. I'm John, joined alongside Joel. We're back here for another week. We've been getting those weeklies now, and we got another one right here, Joel. We've got a lot to talk about. It's a Wednesday night, so this will hopefully come out on Thursday. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. I'm sorry, very much so.
Consistency is key, my friend.
It is. And Joel, before we talk about some inconsistent teams, how we doing?
Okay.
Just
Better
okay.
than other teams right now. But
Well, yeah, as long as you're not the current Buffalo Bills situation, you're probably doing just fine. The
they're not
Buffalo
okay right now.
Bills, they're not okay. They fell to the Denver Broncos of all teams, 24-22 on Monday night. The Broncos go to 4-5. This could be they're 4-5. This is going to be very, very interesting as we get down the stretch here. The Broncos have an outside chance of getting into the postseason because they beat Josh Allen. This Bills team that was, I believe, the favorite to win the Super Bowl heading into this season, if I'm not
Oh, come
mistaken.
on. What?
Up there with the Chiefs, up there with the Eagles. They were up there. Um, Josh Allen, an MVP guy. Now it looks like CJ Stroud is up there, probably above Josh Allen, just like everyone else expected as MVP candidate. James Cook had a good game, 12 carries, 109 yards. Javonte Williams did what he did. Cortland Sutton had a really nice tippy toe touchdown. And the Broncos won after missing a field goal because Will Lutz shanked one to the right and too many men on the field, of course, because Buffalo.
They can't
And
they can't count to 11.
they can't count to 11. They can only count to 12 because why not? They actually start at 12 when they count the Buffalo Bills. They start at 12.
Hmm.
They forget 0 through 11. We go 12. That's it. Because the 12th man is not literal. You're not supposed to put a 12th man out there. You're just supposed to put 11. Joel, before we get into some spicy takes, though, some spicy more. Well, the spicy takes are coming. There's some spicy news that came out of this game. But first, before we get to that, before we get to the Twitter fingers, what are your thoughts on this game?
They blew it.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
as very,
Done.
very simple as this is very simple as you could put it. I mean, first of all, I don't think the Broncos defense could have played any better than they did in that game. Now, you want to talk about the Buffalo Bills side of things. They ended up firing Ken Dorsey, who
Yes.
I felt like he was more so like the scapegoat in all of this because, in my opinion, okay, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I haven't been watching enough Buffalo Bills game. I don't even think Ken Dorsey's that bad of an offensive coach. I really don't think he is.
I mean, given what the Bills have done
I
the past few seasons with him, obviously he can't be that bad.
I can't imagine a situation that he is the problem. I felt like they were just looking for a scapegoat. They fired somebody the next day, and they did with Ken Dorsey. I imagine Ken Dorsey is going to get a job pretty quickly in the offseason, if not already, sometime this season. But,
Maybe your
you
Giants
know,
will be needing him soon.
Jesus. Well, that's not a horrible situation. But regardless, what I'm looking at this game specifically, it it was a mess on Buffalo, especially when it came to turning the ball over. Josh Allen, I mean, sure, yeah, we could talk about it that Josh Allen has now what, like a multi-game streak of having an interception, at least one or something like that of every single game that we have played this year.
Well, he's got
It's
11 this year, so based on
and I think
mathematics,
he's had a turnover in like
yeah,
7 or 8 games.
he's averaging over a turnover a game, basically.
That's insane.
Yeah, they've played 10 games.
That's
He has 11 picks. I didn't even look at his fumble numbers.
I
So
was looking at this comparison, and honestly, like it's funny to me because I didn't really think about it until after that game. Josh Allen throwing wise, he really reminds me of Brett Favre.
um,
He's got a
sure.
he's got a cannon of an arm. Sure, the thing is, Brett Favre turned the ball over a lot. Josh Allen, this is not something that's new. He's been turning the ball for a while.
Yeah.
It's something that happens to him a lot. He's very reckless with the ball. Throwing wise, yeah, I can see the comparison, and especially with last night, you saw that with a defense. Keep in mind, start the year where it was not good.
Yeah.
This is still the same Broncos team that allowed 70 points, not just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I will say, I don't want to just go attach every single gunslinger who throws a pick every now and then to Brett Favre because Brett Favre was a 3-time MVP. Brett Favre was a Super Bowl champion. Brett Favre was much better than Josh Allen has been
well, I
at
mean, Josh Allen
any
could
point in
be
his
that
career.
eventually in his career. He's still young,
I mean, but Brett Favre was doing it, Josh Allen. How old is Josh Allen? Josh Allen's 27. He's got to start doing it now. This is when Brett Favre was probably winning his MVP around here. Brett Favre was going to go win those MVPs, and now Josh Allen is throwing a pick every game. So I think he's just a turnover prone quarterback at this point. He can run, he's a strong runner, but the Josh Allen that we were afraid of seeing coming out of college, a turnover prone quarterback who hasn't been great with his accuracy and decision making, that's the quarterback we're seeing right now. This is just who Josh Allen is, I think, personally. He's faced a lot of, he had a couple great years, couldn't finish the job against Kansas City. Obviously, he didn't win the coin flip, but, that is what it is. So, yes, Josh Allen is a great quarterback. He's a top 5 quarterback at his best. But I don't want to just attach, because then any quarterback that has a big arm and throws picks and makes rash decisions at times, that's just a gunslinger, right? Brett Favre, people say Baker reminds them of Brett Favre. Baker just throws picks, right? So any quarterback that throws picks, yeah. But that's who people were saying, oh, he's kind of like Brett Favre. I think any quarterback that gets he's kind of like Brett Favre, I immediately know maybe he's just not that good. Because Brett Favre was good enough to get away with it. I don't think some of these guys are good enough to get away with it. And it clearly showed against the Denver Broncos because Brett Favre was good enough to mask those mistakes. Josh Allen has not been. So that's going to be the interesting part to see. But you know who'd agree with that? Trayvon Diggs, not Stephon Diggs. So Stephon Diggs did not play very well, quote unquote. If you just look at numbers, if you just look at box scores, right? Stephon Diggs is still Stephon Diggs. He had 3 catches for 34 yards, no touchdowns. Very much hurt my fantasy team, so I'm going to agree with Trayvon Diggs here. After the game, after the loss, a very tough loss, a very emotional loss, Trayvon Diggs said, "Man, 14 got to get up out of there." Crying
That's
emoji.
Stupid. I'm sorry, but that's just
we're not done.
To me.
So, and then he said, let's not forget, he didn't start going off till Lil Bro got there. I wonder who he is. Probably Josh.
That's another stupid statement.
Yeah. So Diggs, and then Cheetah, who is Tyreek Hill, said, Diggs standing on business today. I see and I love it. So I guess Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill is just always here for the drama but like in a good way, right? Tyreek will never cause the drama. He's that guy. He's that friend that's always going to egg you on.
He's an instigator.
Exactly, but like a fun one, right?
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, you talk to him, right? It's great. Here's the thing. For Trayvon, right? I mean, he can say what he wants. I think we can sit here and discuss, right, and argue and go, was it okay for him to say this? Was it right? Should he have tweeted this? Should he have avoided it? I don't even think that that's the story here. If he's going out and tweeting this, do you not think that him and these 2 guys who are brothers, and I'm sure they text as much as possible, do you not think that Trayvon Diggs and Stephon Diggs have talked about Josh Allen in a negative light before and meant it a lot of the time? If he's tweeting this you tweet this when it's the final straw, not the first straw. I'm sure I feel like he's gotten many complaints about Josh Allen before, right? Maybe they don't have the best relationship like we think they do.
Here's my thing, that especially when it comes to Stephon Diggs, like, let's not forget the whole reason why he left Minnesota. He left Minnesota because he said he wasn't getting enough targets. That's the whole reason why he left. Anyone that says anything different is lying. That was the whole reason why he left. He wasn't getting enough targets. He goes to Buffalo. Did you know that Stephon Diggs is the 2nd most targeted receiver in the NFL?
Should he not be?
Number 1, Devontae Adams.
Right.
He's the number 2 targeted receiver in the entire NFL. So in my eyes, what are you complaining about though? That's my thing. What are you complaining about? You're getting the ball. Freaking catch the ball. I mean, not to mention, this is like one of the 1 games in the entire year. Listen, you want to blame Josh Allen? Sure. Pastor Tan locked you up, man. I'm sorry. Pastor Tan locked you up.
Okay.
He's been that guy for majority of this year, and he's been that guy since he's gotten to the NFL. And I mean, now, sure, yeah, we're not going to deny, players have talked trash about other players before and just have not gone public with it. It happens all the time, okay?
Yeah.
Players talk.
That's life.
And not to mention brothers. They're literally brothers, okay? They're going to talk. It's just happened. But one of the things that really, like, frustrates me about this whole thing is that everyone's talking about how Stephon Diggs elevated Allen. Right? Everyone always talks about that. Oh, he wouldn't be anything until, like, Stephon Diggs got there. How about Stephon Diggs going to Buffalo? Maybe that's just me, but nobody was talking about Stephon Diggs being a top 5 wide receiver when he was in Minnesota. Nobody was talking about that. Now he goes to Buffalo and oh well, yeah, you gotta have him at least like, maybe around 5, 6, something like that. Who do you think elevated him then? Josh Allen had a hand in elevating that production of Stephon Diggs. That's just me, but I honestly think that's facts here. We would not be talking about Stephon Diggs like that guy if he was still in Minnesota, if he was not with Josh Allen. Without Josh Allen, they complete each other. But we always have that narrative of, oh well, Josh Allen, he's that guy. He needs to be that guy that, he cannot not have Stephon Diggs on his team in order for him to succeed. I feel like the same can be said for Stephon Diggs. We just don't talk about that really.
No. The Stephon Diggs trade came right after a season where obviously you had the Minneapolis Miracle, which is one of the greatest plays in the history of the National Football League. And Stephon Diggs is already 1,000-yard receiver. Maybe obviously he got better because he entered his prime by 2019, by 2020. So that's when the trade happened. Yes, Stephon's numbers went up a ton, but Josh Allen, you can make the case that Josh Allen also, yes, they both benefit from each other. But Stephon Diggs could have gone anywhere, right? Josh Allen was very much struggling at that time. He was getting better. He was a good quarterback. But, 2019, he went from 3,089 yards and 20 touchdowns, 9 picks, pretty good. Following season, he had 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns. And then, the Bills did what the Bills did. And then the Bills have gone to the playoffs since. I think that's more just Josh Allen's development, but Josh Allen got way better with Stephon Diggs, much more than Stephon Diggs got better with Josh Allen. I think, yes, they need each other and they very much benefit from each other, but Stephon Diggs didn't get traded for a first round pick for no reason. There was a reason his asking price was so high. There was a reason he got paid immediately. Stephon Diggs was one of the best receivers in the NFL at that point. Yes, there were great receivers in the league, and he ended up becoming as good as he was. And I think Josh Allen very much helped him, but he had Case Keenum before that. He had, whoever, right? The quarterbacks were nobodies. And he finally got a quarterback who could throw the ball, had a big arm, and now he's performing. And he's still performing. He's already got 7 touchdowns this season. So I think it's more so, Diggs is a player that could go anywhere. I don't think Josh Allen has that same mobility or didn't have the same mobility at the time than Diggs has right now.
My thing, like, okay, so like I understand the whole like, Case Keenum argument and everything like that, but like when we're looking at Stephon Diggs personally, just him as a player, yeah, like I'm not denying he wasn't a good wide receiver. He was obviously a good wide receiver. I'm saying
Star.
were we putting him at top 5 when it was like 2019 or 2016? When was he on the Minnesota Vikings?
Last year was
2019,
2019,
right?
1,130 yards. He was up there.
He was up there, sure, but like I'm saying, as far as like, okay, he went to a situation that worked for him. What if he went to a team like, I don't know, like the Raiders with Derek Carr? Would he have been anything like that? Like, I'm not saying
Depends which Derek Carr he got, man.
I'm not saying like that specifically, but I'm saying like
Yeah.
literally any other team that didn't have a potential top 5 candidate for, MVP.
He was catching 1,100 yards again with a quarterback carousel. So I think he would have been just fine.
I don't know. I look at it as,
What do you think? Stephon Diggs would be almost out of the league at this? Like Stephon Diggs would still be a star without Josh Allen.
I'm not saying he would have been like ass. I'm not saying anything like
Yeah.
that. I'm just saying you're complaining about not getting the ball when you're literally the second most like targeted receiver in the NFL. I don't know what more you want here. You're getting what you want. This is exactly what you asked for. Now, sure, yeah, we could say that the 12 men on the field thing was a bonehead move by the Bills. The Bills have been doing, bonehead moves for like years now. I'm just saying, I don't like the fact that we're just completely putting all the blame here on Josh Allen. That Trayvon Diggs is outing Josh Allen, saying, "Oh, he wasn't anything before 14 got there." Okay, well, you know what? Maybe 14, maybe Josh Allen is not sure. Yeah, is he perfect? No, I don't think he is.
Right.
I don't think he's the only problem though in Buffalo.
No, there's a lot more than just Josh Allen. Yes.
If you're gonna tweet calling out Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, you should be calling out the Buffalo Bills and not just Josh Allen. And I'm not just saying that because Josh Allen's my fantasy quarterback. I am saying that. I am saying that mainly because if you're gonna put blame on anybody because of a particular problem that's going on, you should be blaming everyone and not just outing one person. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
What Trayvon could have avoided so much too. He could have avoided this whole thing because his
Trayvon could have
original
just shut up. I don't know why he was
that
talking
he
to
could
me.
have did that. Obviously, we're good. That's the I guess easiest way. By the way, Stephon Diggs has a potential out in 2025, so he's still here for a couple of years in Buffalo. But his original tweet is, "Man, 14 got to get him out of there." That's not a Josh Allen shot. That has nothing to do with Josh Allen. It could just do with the coaching staff. People were talking
The
about
second tweet,
McDermott.
though.
Right, right. He could have just left it at the first tweet. It would have been maybe some
Yeah.
controversy. He would have got the Elon Musk ad revenue, and everything would have been fine. But then I'm
He
assuming
doubled down.
he doubled down on it, right? The double down was what got him. The double down was what got him here. And obviously corners are going to be corners. And now what that also does, when the Bills end up playing the Cowboys and Josh Allen, that's when it's going to get solved. That's when things are going to really get solved on December 17th, which is going to be a fun game. That's one you're going to tune into because now, is Josh Allen going to go target Trayvon Diggs? I mean, obviously you're going to have the Stephon. I mean, well, Trayvon Diggs is no longer playing, but now, a few years down the line, we'll see what happens with that if, both players are still on the same teams, obviously, because that's how the AFC NFC thing works. Trayvon Diggs. Also, we got to mention he's saying this while not playing, actually. So we'll see. We'll see. Poor torn ACL for Trayvon Diggs. I would have loved to see him play in that December 17th game if he was going to tweet this. I would have loved that. That'd have been awesome. I kind of forgot about it for a minute because he's talking. Usually when players talk, they're not sitting on the sideline. But here we are. Now, let's go to the division. Let's go to that division. Obviously, the Jets are the Jets. And the Dolphins are still playing well. But what really has shocked the world and shocked literally internationally, the New England Patriots and how poor they've been playing. They have been really doing a great job with this tank.
I've been waiting this for years, John. Been waiting for this for years.
We really have. But the tank is on in New England. It's just so on, right? Bailey Zappi gets put at the end of the game. The Patriots have 6 points total in Frankfurt, Germany. And the Colts are fighting for a playoff spot at this point, trying to, they're on the outside looking in, not just at the wild card, but at the division, with how Jacksonville played against San Francisco. And obviously the Texans are the Texans, but the Patriots went to Germany. They put up 6 points in Joel, the fake spike by Bailey Zappi. He got put in the game and they said, Bailey, we are not going to give you any warm-up drives. We're just going to put you in cold in this game. Go ball. Go play. And the drive was moving. It was for Bailey Zappi standards, the drive was moving. They get a first down. Let's spike this ball. And I see Bailey Zappi just kind of standing there. The Colts defensive lines are pointing. They're like, hey, look at him. Because it's so obvious that he's not spiking this football.
The most obvious fake spike I've ever seen in my life.
He backs up and fake spikes to the side. He doesn't even try to spike. He doesn't even go forward pump and then throw it. He does a whole 3-step drop, does the fake spike, and then throws it to 3 Colts. One of them's got to get it. Interception, game over.
Throws it to triple coverage.
I kind of, if you look at it from the eye in the sky, you can kind of see he was trying to fit it in and just straight up did not see 2 safeties. I get why he made the throw because he sees a very small window where he can fit this football and tries to get in there. But you could have just spiked the ball and kept driving. They had 40 something seconds or whatever. At that point, the Colts know you're faking the spike. They know you're running a play. The safeties are just sitting there okay, where's the ball coming? The defensive linemen everyone knows what's happening. At that point, spike the ball.
I think one of the best parts about that game is that wasn't the only bonehead move. I think it was 4 minutes into the fourth quarter or something, back when Mac Jones was still in the game.
Yeah.
Again, down by 6. You don't need to aim for the end zone here. They're at the 30.
Yes, the pick.
They're at the 30-yard line or whatever. You don't need to. It's second down. Okay,
yeah.
I remember that. It was second down, and Mac Jones, he throws the most underthrown ball into the end zone and just hits a Colts defender in the chest. He barely had to move for it.
I mean, Joel, you could have caught it.
I could have caught that ball.
It was just right there. I don't think he was half not expecting it.
It
just landed right in his lap.
You
I
couldn't
mean,
you
this.
couldn't just throw it a little harder. It was so underthrown.
I
And
mean,
the
this is
best
a
part was it was second down. He didn't even need to do that. He could have just
right.
worked there's plenty of time. There's like 4 minutes left. Like, what are you
Here's the
doing?
thing: Devontae Smith won a Heisman with Max Jones as his quarterback.
Oh my God.
So that's the argument, I guess, for the Josh Allen Stephon Diggs thing. Receivers will be just fine. That was bad, but
That was
I mean,
bad.
this looks intentional at this point. Does it not look intentional? By the way, so the Jets are 4-5, the Patriots 2-8. The Jets and Patriots, in terms of how many points they've scored, only 3 points separates them. The Jets have scored 144 points all season. The Patriots 141.
That's also
So
so sad.
in terms of this, we look at how bad this Pats offense is. The New York Jets are just right there with them. They're right there. So the Patriots are putting themselves in a very, very good position to go out and get Caleb Williams this upcoming offseason. Because I mean, if you're gonna play there's no scenario where the Patriots have any chance of winning football games, right? And the Tank Bowl is on in MetLife Sunday, November
Yeah.
26th, Black Friday weekend, right before Cyber Monday. Go
This will
watch
be
the
the only time.
Patriots.
This will be the only time that I will cheer for the Patriots. I'm gonna cheer for
Exactly.
them
You
hard.
have
I'm gonna
to
cheer for them.
because you need the Giants to lose.
I need that. I
Sunday,
need that
November
loss.
26th, everything happens. And the Patriots don't have an easy schedule right after. They have the Chargers, the Steelers, Kansas City, Denver on the road on Christmas Eve. Oh my goodness, I have to sit there with my family and watch the Patriots and the Broncos play football on Christmas
Oh
Eve
my God.
while I'm opening a Christmas card. Over under, how many are there going to be more turnovers in that game or Christmas cards received by you? And then they have a New Year's Eve matchup with Buffalo and then the Jets to close out the year. Yeah, that's good. This is just awful. If you're a Patriots fan, you can't even complain because you just watched them win 6 Super Bowls. Yeah, this is just really bad. Joel, in terms of grade, they're tanking. I mean, it's got to be an A+.
As it stands right now, the Patriots currently hold the third overall pick in the draft. Giants at
Correct.
2, and technically the Bears at 1.
Yeah, that game is a battle. That game is a battle for the third pick in the draft.
Oh yeah, what that game is going to be insane.
It's Drake May right there, man. That's what that is.
This is going to
Bang.
determine where Drake May goes. That game is literally going to determine where Drake May goes.
If you're Drake May, if I'm Drake May, I'm rooting for a tie. I can't root for anything else besides that. I wouldn't want to go to any of these teams because not only are these teams bad, you have to play on the East Coast, which is also bad. Yeah, this is just not good. New England, you can't play football, but can Caleb Williams save this team? That's my question. Can Caleb Williams actually save this team?
I think he could be the start of this, like, savior, I guess you could say. But the problem with this, and kind of a hot take, I don't see this team going anywhere until you fire Bill Belichick. I don't really see this team. I really don't, because the thing is,
hire another GM. Hire another GM at this point. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I guess you could do that as well. The thing that frustrates me with the Patriots, as a non-biased NFL fan that I am,
right?
They play football. If you just watch a Patriots game, they play football so differently from all the other 31 teams.
Yeah,
they play football so differently, and by that, I'm looking at the rotations with the quarterbacks. They're perfectly fine with playing Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi in the same game, which you should not be able. No one's injured. They just like doing that. It's weird.
It's weird, but also like it's not because one of them is playing well. It's because you have no choice but to bench Mac Jones in that situation.
Here's one of my favorite things about everything that the Patriots have done. In the past offseason, they let Jacoby Myers walk, right? He ended up going to the Raiders. They signed Juju Smith-Schuster to a very similar contract to what Jacoby Myers got. And you see what Jacoby Myers is doing in Las Vegas, and you look at what Juju is. Oh my God. I don't even that guy, he cannot have more than 20 catches on the year. There's no way. There's no way he had more than 15 catches.
I couldn't. You know what? I'm gonna crunch the numbers really quick here.
That man Juju, like, it's so sad to see the drop off of this man, but you cannot say that you didn't see it coming.
Wait,
because it was so. Go ahead.
22 catches, 149 yards.
I was right there. I said less than 20. Okay, 22.
One touchdown. 22.
Oh, so he showed me 22.
Yep, he's really got you there, buddy.
2 more catches to what I thought he got.
Pretty rough situation in New England, but I mean, yeah, just really bad. But they're winning the tank bowl. They're doing a great job.
Oh, they're doing okay.
You're
Yeah.
doing great, sweetie. Keep tanking. Keep
Well,
tanking
here's the
because you need
thing.
it.
Here's the thing too. That a team that the Panthers. I think they're a little confused with the
Yeah, right.
tank.
This is not how this works. If you lose, I mean, well, I guess your second round picks get a bit higher. Okay, third round
Okay,
picks, you
yeah,
get the
sure, why not?
first pick of the second round, right? That's valuable. That has value in it, right? We care about that, right? No, you should not be winning. You should not be preying on your own pick's downfall. I think they just don't know. Maybe they just don't know. Maybe Matt Rule's still there. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Carolina, but we're gonna move on here. And as we're moving on here in this episode of Break Panel Sports, we've got a very unfortunate situation for the Cleveland Browns. So Deshaun Watson has played 6 games this season, and that will be all for Deshaun Watson. He's been battling injury all season long and made a play against the Baltimore Ravens to get this team a first down. They got it done. They ended up getting it done against Baltimore, game-winning field goal, all that stuff. And Deshaun Watson was clearly hurt after that play. And it was a question of it was part of it was oh my goodness, Deshaun's hurt again. And the other part of it was, how serious is this? And it's very serious. A fractured right glenoid in his right shoulder. He's going to get surgery on it. His season is done. So the Cleveland Browns will be running with PJ Walker or Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Right now it's PJ Walker for next week. Apparently Watson also played through a high ankle sprain. So he's been beat up this year. 28-year-old, the quarterback that they're paying so much money for, going through some injury issues right now. And it was really at the point where they started to play well. They sit 6th in the AFC right now. They're 6-3 after that win. And Deshaun was all right. He was pretty all right, to say the least. And now Deshaun Watson's out for the rest of the season for the Cleveland Browns.
That's sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad for Browns fans. Others, have their own opinions about it.
Right.
But one of the things that I look at, especially with the Browns, let's not forget, like in all seriousness here, this is a team that beat the 49ers not too long ago. You know what I mean? This is a good team.
One of the best defenses in the NFL. And they finally
it's one of the best defenses in the
going.
NFL. Myles Garrett, a candidate for DPOI, like year in and year out. Yeah. It sucks to see your quarterback go out like this, but here's my question. Now, sure, yeah, you could blame it on the shoulder because I know he's been dealing with this for a while now.
Yeah.
But does this really affect the Browns all that much? Maybe it's just me, but I look at Watson and I look at a guy like PJ Walker, for example. I mean, I think DTR might be starting this Sunday, but let's just say PJ Walker
should be PJ. It's supposed to be PJ.
Yeah, let's just say it's gonna be PJ, right? I don't view this team any differently than I did a few weeks ago. I really don't.
I mean, there's a pretty big gap between Deshaun Watson and PJ Walker. Like, let's just
But
be
the
real.
thing is, with Deshaun Watson, I feel like people have like the mindset of what Deshaun Watson used to be in Houston. He hasn't really been that.
No, he's
in Cleveland.
This is the first game that he was that. This is the first game that he was that.
He played okay, right?
He was 14 of 14 in the second half of the game. Like he balled out in this game. Deshaun Watson did. This was his best game all season. I mean, they took down the Ravens. They took down arguably the favorite for the Super Bowl in the AFC at this point. They're up there.
That's
Baltimore.
That's one of my problems where it's like, listen, obviously put your body first. I get that. If he honestly doesn't feel comfortable playing, he hurts his shoulder, whatever the case is.
I mean, if this was something he could play through, he would play through it.
That's my thing. If you could play through it, play through it. But obviously he can't anymore. That's why he's done with the season. But I don't like the fact that he did it, especially after a game like this. Maybe that's just me.
If it's a fracture, you can risk further tear of a muscle. You can't risk further fracture of a bone. That's something you can't do. The reason Andrew Luck and all those guys kept getting shots is because they're trying to fix the muscle. If it's a muscle issue, Deshaun probably would have played. That's why Baker played last year, right? A couple years ago, because it was a tear. You can play through tears. When it comes to this is not something you can play through. Because again, Deshaun's, we can talk about Deshaun and everything and how he's played this season. The guy's still a competitor. The guy still wants to win. He's a national champion, right? He's played through injury before. He was already playing through a high ankle sprain. So it's not like he's using this as a way to just get out of the season, get out of a poor season. They're 6-3. They're winning. It doesn't matter to Deshaun at this point. What matters to him is continuing to win. And I was going to say,
because you could see this situation happening to a team that's like 2-8.
Right.
3-7.
Right.
You
At
could
that point,
see
yes, just you know what, we're gonna ride it out.
like we're done. Like
We're done.
obviously we're
You
done.
go
But
get healthy. This was the only choice for Deshaun.
yeah, I agree. But you know, like I said, it's just but it just there's something about it just feels weird because it's like I know he's been dealing with this for a while now. This dates
This is a
back to
different
like
injury.
weeks
This is a new
ago.
injury. The shoulder. So apparently, what the
Oh,
medical
this is new
professional
that what
said,
happened to him?
this it was he ran for a play and got hit. Apparently, so this is what it says. His shoulder could fall apart if he got hit again in the same spot. So he's not playing.
Oh.
He's done. This is like a real fracture. This is like breaking your collarbone.
And this happened against the Ravens.
It's happened in the game. Yeah, they basically the play they won the game. He got a first down, and he got back up. He just wasn't there, and he came out, and they ended up winning the game. So yeah, if he got hit in the same spot, his shoulders like the. I mean, obviously his money's guaranteed, but he's not playing. His shoulder's done, so he had to get surgery.
How do you view this contract now?
It was already bad. It was already
Yeah,
a rough idea. It's honestly the money doesn't bother me as much as the picks they had to give up because they threw away their future for Deshaun Watson. And
right.
injury aside, right? I mean, unless if he continued to play the way he did, but injury aside, Deshaun Watson had not been playing up to the caliber of the money, but by even close. If this team stuck with Baker and didn't force Baker to play that 1 year and let him get shoulder surgery, let him just hang out. If they kept Baker
Thank you.
and went out and used their picks that they've lost and continue to develop this roster, offensive line, get some more receivers, this team would not just be better. They'd be, in my opinion, the favorites to win the Super Bowl every year because of how good this team would be. It's
I'm telling you right
absurd
now,
what they did.
I am not saying this because you're a Sooners fan. I'm not saying this because of what
Yeah, of
Baker's
course,
doing
I'm
in
the
Tampa
biggest Baker
Bay.
guy in the world. Yes.
They should have never let that man go. I'm
Never.
sorry. They should have never done it. I hated it from the moment it happened. I was like, because when he initially got traded to Carolina, I was saying, watch this man tear it up and he's gonna shove it in all your faces. And obviously it didn't happen in Cleveland in Carolina. And it kind of happened with the Rams. He had that one good Thursday
It was
night
just a
game.
couple games. Yeah, he
But
won one game.
but in Tampa, I mean, he's been good.
Really
He
good.
hasn't just been okay. He's been good.
That team's competing to win a
And
division.
they're competing. And it's like, damn, what, dude? Like, it just frustrates me that of what they did to Baker and made it seem like, oh, this is all on him. This is all this. You guys were the ones who believed in him. You took him number 1 overall. What are you talking about? And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we made a mistake. It's just this. Well, Baker's not who we thought he was. All this and that. Oh, blah 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 blah. It's just it's not a good look for Cleveland, especially. And one of the things that frustrated me with the Deshaun Watson contract, it wasn't even like, okay, yeah, the money, sure, yeah, you could talk about that. It was the fact that first of all, they did it like immediately.
Yes.
Immediately after trading for it, they did it immediately. And not only that, they gave him like what, fully guaranteed, right?
Basically, yeah.
It was fully guaranteed. That's why I'm like, oh my, like, not
Most
only did
guaranteed
they
money in
want
NFL.
Deshaun Watson, they've been wanting him.
Yeah.
Regardless of any situation that Deshaun Watson was going through. And they said, you know what, we're gonna make this guy one of the highest paid quarterbacks, or probably the highest paid quarterback in the entire league. We do
Right.
not care what anybody thinks.
It's
That's one of the things that was like, just, I didn't like that look for Cleveland. I didn't like that at all.
it was an awful look for Cleveland.
It was all, yeah.
I mean, and obviously, they did this trade. They didn't just do this trade. They did this trade amidst all the controversy and his legal situation. They did it during all of that. So
They
it
didn't
made
care.
it even worse, right? They just went ahead and did it. They didn't think about it. They just went ahead and did it. And it was just bad. It was just an awful situation. It was just the Browns being the Browns. So they also gave up 2022, 2023, 2024 first round picks. Looks like 2022 one became Jordan Davis. I have to find out who the 2023 pick became. Obviously, they would have, if the Browns held it, they would have picked differently. Who knows if they would have hit on these picks? But you could have continued to build this roster. Instead, you get a quarterback who's not there. I mean, okay, wow. The 12th pick in last year's NFL draft. That was the Detroit Lions, and they picked Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think that they picked Jahmyr Gibbs. They imagine if they pick Christian Gonzalez instead. If you gave Christian Gonzalez, Jahmyr Gibbs, any, if Nick Chubb and Jahmyr Gibbs was in the backfield, I mean, that would be absurd. So if they just held on to these picks, they're so much better than the current team, and this current team's already amazing. So I didn't understand it from a football perspective, from a roster construction perspective. Now the thing is, obviously Deshaun Watson, when he's Deshaun Watson, when he's his best, he's a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League. No doubt about it. And it seemed like without his shoulder getting hurt, if this didn't happen, the Browns were destined for the postseason. They probably would have made it, and anything can happen when you have a quarterback like Deshaun Watson. But it just I don't know. Deshaun had already had his injury issues. Who knows if he can stay healthy? Obviously, Baker had his injury issues, of course. But this was just not a good decision by Cleveland.
I think it's going to go down as one of the worst contracts we've seen for a quarterback.
I mean, I can't think of a worse one besides maybe Mike Glennon. But that was not, that didn't have nearly the consequences as a Deshaun Watson, because they're also locked into it. I mean, they're not getting off of Deshaun. They're going to stick with Deshaun Watson for as long as they have to. And who knows, right? They might go out and they might go win a Super Bowl with Deshaun because of how good this defense is. And next year, let's say he gets healthy. I think if anything, you'd rather have this be a fracture than a muscle tear, because we've seen quarterbacks with their shoulder injuries and how it holds them back time in and time out. So we'll see how this goes. But as of now, even without the injury, it was looking like one of the worst decisions a team can make, given everything that's around it. But who knows? We'll see. But what it seems like is that there's a team out there with the same amount of wins that has a very different quarterback situation right now. And they are looking like just loved by everyone in the NFL. Joshua Dobbs, the aerospace engineer himself, spaceman Josh Dobbs.
They're living balling. Legend himself.
They're balling over there in Minnesota. They just picked up a win over the Saints. They beat the Saints and the Falcons. 2 opponents that I'm not really going to be too shocked that you beat. But Josh Dobbs ended up running in for a touchdown. Him and TJ Hockenson seem very much on the same page now, even though he barely knows anybody's name still. 23-34, 268 yards and a touchdown in a big win. Jameis Winston against Josh Dobbs. Did we ever think we were going to see that with Minnesota and New Orleans? I never did. Josh Dobbs coming out of Tennessee. He's been on a lot of teams at this point. I was kind of thinking, I'm like, how many teams is Josh Dobbs? He's been on.
He's got to be at 7 now.
He's up there. He was on the Browns practice squad before the season. He gets signed by Arizona, then gets traded to Minnesota. Before that, last year he was starting a winner go home
Jacksonville.
Game. Yeah, he was drafted by Pittsburgh out of Tennessee, the 4th round, went to Jacksonville, back to Pittsburgh, was over there, was part of the Cleveland Browns experiment when Baker was hurt. We're always going to forget about Josh Dobbs and his Detroit Lions practice squad era. Obviously, the winner go home.
I completely forgot he was in the Lions.
I mean, it was for probably 5 minutes. He never played a game. Obviously, he was just practice squad. So if we're going to count that, I guess so. He's put on many jerseys in his career, and he's looking really good for the Minnesota Vikings. And now, Minnesota, they're still in contention for not just a playoff spot, because it looks like they're going to maybe end up there. I mean, they're a game out of they're the game, probably the Lions 7-2, Vikings 6-4. So they're a game within tying Detroit for the same amount of wins in terms of the division. That's interesting. I don't think that they'll end up catching up. But Joel, where do you see this Vikings team going this season with Josh Dobbs?
Playoffs and potential playoff win. I mean, I look at Joshua Dobbs. Well, first of all, one of the things that I find crazy, I mean, for fantasy purposes, Joshua Dobbs has been a top 10 quarterback, which is like crazy to say.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to say to somebody, at the beginning of this year. But one of the stats that I saw not too long ago, and I couldn't believe this, as New Jersey, New York guys, did you know Joshua Dobbs has the same amount of touchdown passes as a Viking as Zach Wilson does with the Jets this year?
Zach has 6, right?
They have 5.
So
I want to say 5.
Yeah.
They both have 5.
Oh yeah,
You know how crazy that is?
That's just horrendous.
That's so sad.
How many did Daniel Jones have before he got hurt? Probably
2?
not many more.
2, I want to say.
It two.
2. Yeah,
It
2.
two touchdown passes.
2 touchdown passes. Yeah.
I mean, how much money is he getting? He's gonna pay what, $40 million a season?
Oh,
That's
not for
20
long,
million a touchdown
probably.
pass. $20 million per touchdown pass. That's really awesome.
$20 million for a touchdown pass.
I mean, I remember last year I tweeted
The
when he
contract was
signed
so
the.
bad.
I remember when he signed the contract. I tweeted it was like $3.3 million per touchdown. Now it's even
You
more
called
absurd.
me. You called me when that contract
I did. I
happened.
was like, Joel, what are you doing with
I was
Daniel
like, don't
Jones?
worry about it. We'll be fine.
Yeah,
I was like,
again, I
dang
mean,
it.
listen, I've already said what I've said about the Giants, and obviously, Daniel Jones ended up getting hurt, so that's not his fault. Again, but the play was still not there beforehand. So the thing about Josh, I'll ask this question then. How about that, Josh Dobbs? For start your whole season, like to take Josh Dobbs as your quote unquote franchise quarterback, are you taking Daniel Jones or Josh Dobbs?
Oh, I mean, I I think you got to look at the longevity here. Now, I'm not saying that it's a easy question, only because like you look at what Joshua Dobbs is doing right now. Sure, yeah, you would want a guy doing that right now, but what's happening with Joshua Dobbs really reminds me of what happened last year with Geno Smith.
Right.
Reminds me of is basically the same situation, almost the exact same
Minus the
situation.
trades and him not even being a football
Yeah,
player.
yeah. But I get it. And from Seattle's perspective, they said, you know what, we love this guy, and we're gonna sign him to an extension. We want this guy to stay here for a while.
The right
And
decision.
could Minnesota be thinking that? I mean, let's just say, for example, the Minnesota Vikings, they go on to win, I don't know, like 9 games. Let's say they go like 9-8 or in 10-7. Let's say they go 10-7
already
or
got
something like
6,
that. They make
so,
the play. They make the playoffs and they end up losing or whatever the case may be. Do you re-sign Joshua Dobbs? And if you do, what's the price for him? I don't know, because that's the thing. Because when you're asking like, would I rather have Joshua Dobbs or Daniel Jones? If we're not counting the contracts here at all, I would probably lean more towards Daniel Jones, only because I have seen the longevity with him.
you're signing both players the same deal. Both players the same deal.
Then I would prefer Daniel Jones. But if we're not, if we're talking about, who's the cheaper option and who do I think I could, maybe have for like, 2 years of like really good football, then yeah, Joshua Dobbs.
Right.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, any person would think Joshua Dobbs.
And to me, this isn't. Yeah, and right, the fact that this is a discussion, right? And I'm not trying to sit here and discredit Josh Dobbs. I'm not going to try to discredit Josh Dobbs. I will try to discredit Daniel Jones and the Giants' decision to sign him. The fact that a quarterback who is basically just Ryan Fitzpatrick right now, that's who I see Josh Dobbs being.
Yeah,
is Ryan Fitzpatrick. One of those journeymen. I don't see him getting signed. I don't see him, being the answer for anybody. At least right now, right? I mean, Josh Dobbs is 28. This doesn't usually happen. Maybe the Vikings will go out and give him a contract, right? Because we've seen, again, I look at Mike Glennon all the time. Mike Glennon had something similar, not as populated as Josh Dobbs, not as notoriety, not as much winning either as Josh Dobbs, but he ended up getting a big contract from Chicago. So if Minnesota isn't going to bring back Kirk Cousins, then maybe I can see Josh Dobbs getting a 3-year, $20 million a year deal, maybe even more. I can see that happening.
I was going to say like 65, 70 around there.
Right. I can see that happening with Josh Dobbs. Also, Daniel Jones and Josh Dobbs are only 2 years apart age-wise, so that could also, factor in with your discussion. But the fact that this is a better option than signing Daniel Jones, who you signed to $40 million a year. I know we talk about bad quarterback contracts and Deshaun Watson, but at least Deshaun Watson's contract led to wins.
Yeah.
The Giants aren't winning. And obviously, yes, you won a playoff game, but am I really going to sit here and talk about the Giants win over the Vikings in the wild card game for the rest of my life? Is that something I really want to be the peak of? Is that really what I want? I don't.
I think there's like an overwhelming issue with like figuring out what's real and what's fake. You know what I mean?
That's deep, bro. That's deep.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you look at a guy like Nick Foles in Philly, went on to win the Super Bowl, and then Jacksonville saw this and said, "My God, we gotta get him here," because people forget about that contract.
Yeah,
people forget about that,
it was
and
big
they're
money.
saying, "Oh my God, we signed him to a 4-year, 70 whatever it was deal." oh my God, this guy is gonna be so good. He's gonna be great. He stunk. He
Yeah.
was Gardner
He got
Minshew, a
hurt though.
guy.
He ended up getting hurt. He ended up getting hurt.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
it's true, but he wasn't playing good before he
no,
got
he was
hurt.
not.
And Gardner Minshew came out of nowhere, and then it was like Minshew mania. That whole thing
Yeah,
started,
yeah.
and then you look at Geno Smith. I mean, I'm not saying that he fell off or anything like that, but like Geno Smith was like a guy who's like, we never saw this when he was on the Jets. We never saw this when he was on any of those. We never saw this from him.
Giants. He was on the Giants when that
Yeah,
Giants offense was
he
just
started one
pitiful.
game for the Giants
Yeah.
when Eli was like stunking or something.
They just benched Eli for no reason to end his streak.
Yeah, it was
It
random.
was ridiculous. Now
And
I
you know what's
do
the
find
best
it.
part about that game?
Yeah,
I remember this too. Geno Smith he didn't play bad.
no, he didn't.
He was fine.
Geno
He
Smith
had
was always one of the better backups in the NFL. He was always one of the better ones, but now he finally got his chance. And Seattle's winning too. He's still good.
yeah.
I was always surprised that Minshew Mania never got that kind of contract because he showed he could play, and he's showing he can play right now in Indianapolis. I mean, that team's 5-5. Yes, they just played New England, but they only put up 10 points, and that's unfortunate. But I was surprised that Gardner Minshew never got a contract as well.
I mean, like you
Obviously,
said, it all came down to wins though, because like I said, Minshew Mania
yeah,
was good, but they still went like what 1-16 or one
they
and
didn't win a lot
fifteen,
of
whatever.
games. Yeah, ended up getting
Yeah, they
Trevor.
were, and Nick Foles, they won the
Yeah,
Super Bowl. He was
right,
bound to get money somewhere.
right. And if Josh Dobbs can get to a playoff game, he doesn't even have to win the game, and I think he'll get paid
No, I don't
somewhere.
think so either.
You got a lot of teams that are going to be looking for a quarterback. I mean, and Minnesota's right there. You could look at, does Tampa keep Baker? They should keep. They'll probably keep him. He's got a contract, right? Does Carolina want to bring in Josh Dobbs for over Bryce Young at this point and let him develop? Do they want to go to Atlanta? Does Atlanta want to go get Josh Dobbs because their
You,
quarterback situation is what it is? There's teams out there.
we can see a whole QB carousel like this entire offseason. And like not a lot of people discuss it only because like this upcoming quarterback class is like loaded, but it's
Yeah.
like the draft is not the only way that teams are going to acquire quarterbacks. Maybe
No.
teams that I can't think of one from the top of my head, but like teams that may not look to get a rookie quarterback. They don't want to do a rookie quarterback. They say, "Hey, look at Joshua Dobbs over there in Minnesota."
Right.
And he's showing that he can learn a playbook pretty quickly.
Yep.
Why not bring him in? Why not?
Why
not bring
not
him in?
give
Like
why not
he's
give it a shot?
28.
Is Tennessee going to be satisfied with Will Levis at the end of the season? Is Anthony Richardson going to be healthy for the Indianapolis Colts? Right? Is Kenny Pickett going to be around? Aiden
Yeah.
O'Connell, is he going to be around? There's a lot of things that can happen. Are the Patriots going to be looking for a bridge quarterback? Right? There's going to be a lot of situations. I mean, we can just kind of. My thing is, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there. I don't think there's as much landing spots as we probably would want there to be for a year like this, because the Niners are going to keep Brock Purdy. Matthew Stafford probably doesn't retire for the Rams. The Cardinals are probably going to pick a quarterback. Detroit has
Atlanta?
Jared Goff. Atlanta's a big one to me because you'd be pairing, a really young receiver, Drake London. They've got a good core there. Bijan Robinson, offensive line still getting there. I can see Atlanta making a resurgence, but and they're it's those teams that are good enough to win, but not bad enough to get a quarterback at the top of the draft. That's Atlanta. I think Atlanta and maybe even New Orleans are, the NFC South as a whole. You're going to be looking at quarterbacks going there. So that's where we're at right now. Right. And Green Bay, what do they do?
Yeah, sure.
What do they do? What does anybody
What do
do?
you
What does
do?
Chicago
What do you
do?
do with Jordan Love? You know what I mean?
What do
Like
do you run him out there again? I mean,
or
he's
like
sad. He's sad.
Desmond Ritter, like these guys that are
Yeah,
like you were projecting to be like oh these are our quote unquote future, these are the whatever, and it's
yeah.
like they haven't panned out as well as you had hoped they would.
Taylor Heineke, man. Taylor Heineke.
Oh
Mike White
man,
got. I mean, these guys are going to get contracts, right? Mike White got a pretty good amount of money from Miami to be the backup.
to be a backup, yeah,
Yeah, to be a backup. So I mean, there's going to be a lot of the back. It's going to be a backup quarterback carousel. That's what we're going to see
good.
today. That's what we're going to
Yeah,
see.
okay,
It's going to be fun. But we're seeing what I've seen this year is this year has kind of proven that even if you are a backup in the NFL, quarterbacks are, especially with the way that quarterbacks are used more often now. Like we're running our quarterbacks a lot more than we were in years past. So we're seeing a lot more quarterbacks get injured because if you're a quarterback, you're running and you're running at people. So you're going to miss a few weeks. You're going to miss a couple weeks here and there. You're not just being a pocket passer anymore. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's leading to injuries. And that means a backup quarterback. You got to put a bit more of an investment into it. Josh Dobbs is up there. Josh Dobbs is up there for a guy that can be your starting quarterback if things go wrong. I don't see Josh Dobbs being a franchise quarterback, but he's probably, in terms of backup quarterbacks, he's number one. So he can get a contract, but we'll see. We'll see, Joel. I don't know. I mean, the Giants will do what the Giants do. But Joel, do you have anything else to add? Do you have anything else to add as we close this out here on Break Panel Sports?
Jets play like trash.
They did.
Yeah.
do you want to go into it, or should we just leave it at whatever the heck that was? I mean, one touchdown the entire game. The primetime games as of recently are just.
I'm gonna be so honest with you. I know we do this. We watch the games. I turned the game off at halftime. It was so freaking boring. I'm sorry. It was just so boring. It was field goal after field goal after. I watched the highlights afterwards. I was like, oh my God, this game is so bad. I just don't like it.
The thing is, it's like I have work at 9 a.m. Do I want to maybe lose an hour of sleep watching the Jets and Raiders play football? I sat there
and lose a little bit of my sanity.
There's been a lot of great games today. I've already heard the Carrie Underwood. I already got enough serotonin from that. And I really just don't want to keep watching this. I'm sitting there in my living room, and I'm like, am I going to stay here on my couch and watch the rest of this game?
I should just go to bed early, man.
And I did. And I went right to bed.
I don't even care who wins this game.
I slept like a baby. I was knocked out. That game put me to sleep. It was better than any guided meditation for sleep you could do. Listening to, and there's another pass, and there's another pass, there's another run, and it's for 2 yards.
And here's another punt, and here's another punt, and here's another field goal.
And it's returned down to the 17-yard line. And they're going to go for the kick. Oh, it's good. It is now 3-3 here in Las Vegas. I
think the best part of that entire game was watching Zach Wilson run. Like, he had that little scramble where he ran into the end zone and it got called back. It wasn't even a touchdown. He ran out of bounds and he got called back. That was the best play of the entire game.
Right. So then the Jets had the ball at the 3-yard line, and they couldn't score a touchdown on the 3-yard line. It was like, I think I was watching it, and they got a pick. Or they got some kind of turnover, and they got it, and it was like, if the defensive guy doesn't score, they're not scoring a touchdown, and the Jets did not score a touchdown. It was like the Giants game.
Sad.
I think the Giants. I remember it was like, it's the same thing with the Giant game, right, against the Cowboys, which was just not one you want to revisit. But I just found this.
We can talk about that too. Why not?
I just found this part of it hilarious. Was I'm watching it, and this is the thing I'm thinking about. There was an interception. I forget what the score was or when it was, but he gets it, and my dad's just yelling, he's got to score, he's got to score. He's like, if he doesn't score, we're not scoring. He was like very serious. It's like, he should have scored. And then they ended up kicking a field goal because obviously the Giants cannot score the ball from inside.
Because they can't get a freaking, they can't get a touchdown.
The Jets got the ball at the 9. The Jets got the ball at the 9. They couldn't score a touchdown. It was just... offenses. Is this just a weird year for offense? I feel like offenses have just been more bad than usual in this offensive league.
You know how I knew it's just been like so terrible, and especially from like a Giants fan perspective, I saw this man Sterling Shepard catch a touchdown pass. I saw him. He should not be in the league right now. That man he tore his Achilles, he tore his ACL, I think he tore his other ACL. He had non-contact injuries. This man's legs are like gone, and he's still in. I was thinking to myself going into last offseason, okay, he's gonna retire, but he said he loves the Giants, so he might stick around as like some sort of wide receivers coach or something. He loves the Giants. Something like that. Something for the Giants, right?
Right.
They signed him to a 1-year deal, and I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be some sort of like practice squad, some sort of bench, and then he starts playing. I'm like, why is he in the game?
Yeah,
he's gonna get hurt again. He's gonna get hurt again. I'm like, how bad has the offense have gotten that we're starting Sterling Shepard? Why is he in the game right now? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, here's the thing: if I was really, if like every washed up actor, always gets a few more gigs. They always get those gigs
How?
where it's like,
It's like,
why is this actor in this movie? Why is Russell Crowe in this movie still? I mean, Gladiator was great, love Les Mis, but why is he in this movie where he's chasing people down in the car? And it's not that
why is
bad.
Nicolas Cage in this random
Right,
like
Nick. I feel like
horror
Nick
movies?
Cage is a much better example than Russell Crowe. I love Russell Crowe.
Why is he
Right, is
in
Nick
this?
Cage right? Why is Nick Cage in this movie? Where is he coming from? It's like Nick Mullins. Why where is Nick Mullins coming from? In football, he's on the Vikings right now. Yes, Nick Mullins is on the Vikings. If you forgot, but
I do
Sterling
remember
Shepard. Think
that.
about
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard. Right, he's been through a lot. He's had to fight through a lot of injuries, but the fact that he is still playing, I respected him a ton for that. You can say, "Oh, why are the Giants doing this?" Right, and yeah, it's great, but respect to him for getting on the field. Respect to him for getting back in game shape. I mean, year in, year out.
Yeah.
And obviously, if there's millions of dollars, I would do many things. If I have to tear up my knee again for how much money Sterling Shepard's getting, yeah, I'm doing it because I can buy a house in Calabasas for whatever Sterling Shepard is making this year. So I would come back. I would come back if I was Sterling. He's a great guy, phenomenal guy, Oklahoma legend. Shout out to
Oh,
him.
he's a nice dude.
Sure he is. Maybe we'll get him on the show one day and we'll play this
That
back
could
for
be
him, and I'm
cool.
sure he'll love it. Shout out to Sterling Shepard. Offenses can't score, but the Giants, 118 points this season. I believe that's the lowest in the league
That's the lowest in the league. That has to be. There's
by
no
like
way it's
a
not.
very good margin as well.
Yeah, there's
That's
there's no
like,
way it's not.
yeah, that's it. They're actually, yeah, they are the lowest scoring team in the league by a
And you're
very good
still gonna
margin.
get people trying to say that we don't need another quarterback. You get out of here. You kidding me?
You need something. You need a lot more than that. You need Deus Ex
No, people
Machina.
people are gonna see that and like the Giants will end up with like the number 2 pick and they're gonna say draft a lineman. I'm like, dude, what the
Yeah,
hell
no, you
are
need
you
something.
doing?
Now, here's my idea, right? You would say that the Giant. I know we're kind of just going off about anything right now, and it's fun.
It's fine.
So I want to get your take on it then. The Giants get the number 1 pick in the draft, and
Yes.
Arizona offers you a king's ransom to trade down in the NFL. I mean, I'm talking like 3 first-round picks. I'm talking a good maybe Rondale Moore, Trey McBride, 3 first-round picks, a second-round pick, a couple thirds, maybe a sixth here and there, right? You just get whatever package the world could offer you for the number 1 overall pick in Caleb Williams, and you're the New York Giants. What is your decision in that matter?
What pick are we getting?
What from Arizona?
Yeah, I know, but like, are we trading down to 2, 3?
Let's say
Like,
Arizona's got okay. Sure, my draft projection, right? Let's go for it. Let's say Arizona has the 4th pick because they're not going to be worse than the Panthers, the Patriots. So let's say Arizona has the 4th pick. Yeah, let's go there. How about that? Because I think they
no,
win a
I
couple
wouldn't
games
do
with
it.
Kyler. You wouldn't do it because the 4th pick
I
doesn't get
wouldn't
you a
do it.
quarterback, right? The 4th pick doesn't
No,
get you a
I wouldn't do
quarterback,
that.
and Quinn Ewers is staying in
I
college.
wouldn't do it.
But you're talking.
See, you know what? Honestly, well, first of all, if you're trading for the number 1 pick, I feel like Kyler has to be included in the
I
deal.
was gonna say that. What if Arizona wants to move off of Kyler and they trade Kyler Murray in a package
If
for
you want to talk
whoever
about
has the number 1 pick?
if you want to talk about Kyler potentially, ain't that funny that Kyler Murray, all the short jokes that people have made could end up on a team called the Giants?
There you go.
That's so ironic. That's so crazy.
He will
But
truly be a New York Giant.
but
I
let's
think Arizona. I think they should do it if that's what
I'm
happens.
not against. Well, here's the thing too, because okay, it was the Falcons game, right? Yeah, they played the
Yes.
Falcons. I was watching the game with my dad, and we both said it too. I'm like, you know, what's so crazy. He's not a bad quarterback. He's really
No,
not. I don't.
well, Joel, back when we were on the break in 2021, we were sitting here going, "This guy's a dark horse for MVP."
Well, I mean, at
He's
that point, I
still
think the Cardinals won like
Kyler.
10 games in a row or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, then he tore his knee the year after. Like this, he's still coming back from an ACL tear, and he
But
was
that's the
great
thing though.
before then. I never
But
knew
that's
where
the
the
thing.
Kyler fell off narrative came from. I never liked it.
I don't like it either because it's like you're looking at what Kyler did on Sunday. Now, granted, I get it. It was the Falcons, whatever. You want to talk about the Falcons. But if you're saying to yourself, oh, we need to trade up to get Caleb Williams. You should be staying where you're at to try to get help for Kyler because you
Yes.
got your guy. You
Yes.
got your guy. So it's like, I mean, I know what you're trying to say as far as like would the Giants like trade the pick? If it was any team, right? If it
Yeah.
was just any team entirely, I feel like the asking price for that is funny because I remember when we were doing our fantasy football draft, you
Yep.
mentioned that in a dynasty league, you and one of our other friends that you're in a league with,
Yep.
you guys traded for like, a bunch of first round picks and everything like that. And you guys are literally on the hunt to get Caleb Williams. And
That's right.
I remember you saying a team could offer me like 10 first round picks. I probably wouldn't take it.
Yeah. There's like, I mean, there's a price, but it just, that was at the time too. This was before
Yeah.
Caleb Williams was playing the way he was playing. He just won a Heisman. I'm like, he's he's again the most surefire prospect we've seen in ages. But we can break down Caleb all day, and we can break him down another day here on Break Panel Sports. We'll get the maybe one day we'll try to see what kind of trade packages I would take for Caleb Williams if I had the number one pick, and
Mm.
I might have to field some of them pretty soon. But that'll do it for this episode of Break Panel Sports. I've been John, joined alongside Joel. We're all out of time here. Thank you so much for sticking around. It's been Break Panel Sports. It's been a good one. Shout out to Caleb Williams. Will he be the number one pick? Yeah, probably. We'll see you
Where's he
another
gonna
time.
go?
I don't know.
Later.
I don't know where he's going to go, but we'll see you another time. And eventually, when we do find out where he goes.